Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a beautiful 26th of June, 2024. Coming up this podcast, episode 296 of the Crusty Canuck podcast. Cold, cruel, but victorious. That's right. The big upset in Toronto St. Paul riding, where conservatives have won a traditional liberal riding. Tisk, tisk, tisk. What will those liberals think? I guess they actually have to give a shit about what they're doing, eh? All that more come at the show. Please stick around. Listener view discretion is advised because I will swear, smoke cigarettes, make funny faces, and just laugh at the buffoonery that has been laid before our feet. Stick around.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthy.
From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast, a Canadian veteran's point of view on political, social, economic issues and life. Here's Crusty.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 296 of the Crusty Canuck podcast. That's right. Cold, cruel, but victorious. Yes, a recent victory in Toronto St. Paul for a conservative candidate in a traditional liberal area in the recent by-election in Toronto. All that. My God, I tell you, what's going on with the world today? If you like and hear what you see, please click like, subscribe. Share this content all over your social media platforms. Do not be shy, ladies and gentlemen. If you feel like donating, please donate. And also, just as a reminder, too, this podcast is brought to you in part by and supported by the fine people at Veterans for Freedom. That's right, Veterans for Freedom Stand 2, and coming soon to the internet near you. Veterans for Freedom TV. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Veterans for Freedom TV. Like-minded individuals such as myself and other freedom fighters and free speakers will be collaborating, hopefully having a network sometime in the future, but stay tuned for that. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck, and welcome all. Welcome to the show. As I know I was supposed to have an episode of last night, but the work schedule keeps coming up and down. I've had people say, stop making so many excuses, Crusty Canuck. Well, it's not an excuse. I work a lot. Right? If I was making some money with this podcast, I wouldn't have to work as much. I'll be making more episodes for all you wonderful people out there because you're all worth it, right? All of yous are worth it out there, ladies and gentlemen. So that's the thing. So, like the title card says, cold, cruel, but victorious. So, Krista Freeland, Canada's deputy PM, Miss Freeland, who says, get rid of your Disney subscription and you save some money, right? Right? I've never seen a female politician so out of touch with reality in my life. I used to think Kim Campbell was bad back in 1993, but I guess, Kim Campbell's going to go, whoa, Krista, you take the cake on that one. Oh my God. So just for those of you who haven't been paying attention to Canadian politics, Toronto had a by-election, Toronto St. Paul riding. I think there's roughly about maybe 30,000 people in that riding. And since 1993, it's predominantly been a liberal riding. And I guess, unfortunately, for the likes of Miss Leslie Church and Krista Freeland and the Prime Minister himself, were really upset on the turnout, or basically on the results of said election. Around 4:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, come Tuesday morning, the final results were in that a Mr. God, I had his name queued up here. Where did it go? Where is it? Anyway, the conservative candidate, he won. Okay. So it wasn't a landslide victory. I think he beat Miss Leslie Church roughly by 600 votes, but I'll queue up some cards here for you shortly there, ladies and gentlemen, and you can decide, right? So when it comes to elections in this country, we've had some really, really shady issues. We've had the foreign interference scandal that's been plaguing us. We've had the We scandal. We've had the ArriveCan scam app scandal. We've had tons of these entitled individuals trying to make more money and take more money for the sake of virtue and for the trees and for the rivers, when really they're just lining their pockets and stuffing their faces. Like I mentioned in my last episode, the Prime Minister himself had a whopping $233,000 bill for food on his trip to Indonesia there last fall. So you can see where things are going. So I'm going to just queue up a video here shortly of Miss Freeland talking about democracy and how upset people were. And if you can't hear the audio, just watch the subtitles. Really interesting how some of these creatures like to roll. Now, my personal opinion is this. right? If a certain riding has had a traditional party in its area for a very, very long time, and all of a sudden there's another 600 votes that have changed the game, what's it tell you about that riding? It has nothing to do with people being Jewish in that riding or people being of this stature, that stature. I think a lot of people in central Toronto are getting really, really fed up with the Liberal brand. Honestly, I think they're getting really, really fucking tired of the so-called liberalism when it's really glorified champagne socialism, to say the least. Okay. All the wokeisms, all the little isms that have come and gone since the prime minister promoted sunny ways and all his people kind madness. People are starting to wake up and see the light. And I'm happy for that writing. Not just because they voted conservative or because they voted conservative, or they more or less thought for themselves. And more people came out to vote, which is good. And that's what you should do, ladies and gentlemen. Regardless of what you think about democracy, whether it's the parliamentary system or the U.S. Senate system, the Republic system, it doesn't matter. Get out and fucking vote. Okay, whether it's a by-election, municipal election, provincial election, or the federal, get out and vote. Speak your mind, right? Because look at the past 9 years of what the Liberals have done. Honestly, the past 9 years have proven more than enough that we deal with incompetency, we deal with feelings, because you don't want to harass these individuals because they might get hurt. Or don't say bad words to them. Don't put them on the spot. Don't make them feel uncomfortable because their job is really, really hard. Oh my God, they have to think before they do anything. They actually have to get out of bed and relate to their constituents as you should in a parliamentary system, right? Can't have that kind of behavior now. Oh, no, never. Never have that kind of behavior. No. You're always in it for yourself. Yes, of course. Yes. Always in it for yourself. Always for your dignity and your brand new suits and your leisure trips and being chauffeured all over the place and your little perks. Not to mention little backbenchers getting anywhere from $200,000 to $202,000 a year. Oh my goodness. So you can't put them on the spot? No, of course not. Said no one. So the results of this by-election, I would highly say, is going to be a change of events and a turning of the tides, per se, because Toronto has always voted for a majority. When you look at historically, okay, throughout the 80s, they voted for Mulroney's brand, and they got tired of Mulroney's brand, especially during the free trade debacle that was going on, the moratorium they put on fishing. A lot of BS has come and gone. And even in the 90s, too, they held a majority in Toronto, Montreal, parts of Quebec, right, in the major cities. So it's not like it's a new thing. But now we've seen the past 9 years what exactly these culprits are doing, right? And like I say, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't matter if you're liberal, conservative, NDP, Les Blocs, if you're green like Elizabeth May having a cocktail talking about there's nothing to see here, folks. Oh, my goodness. Have another glass of rye, Elizabeth. People are starting to see a light, right? And my prediction is that if the Conservatives do get in, or if there is an election called, or if Justin decides he wants to throw in the towel, because you can hear rumblings and how Justin might just be shunned from the cool crowd. He just might be kicked out of the cool club and no one wants to play with him anymore because he's a doofus. But then you've got the likes of Chrysty Freeland, who's a doofus, really out of touch with people, always been out of touch with people. Like every time she does a press conference, you can hear how condescending she is. And a video will queue up a bit later, you're going to see how condescending she is. Now, a lot of my followers and fans know exactly what I'm talking about. My new followers and fans, listen to this individual. She is the second in command of this country, the deputy prime minister. Now, throughout our history, we've never, ever really needed a deputy prime minister unless someone's life was threatened or we're in a time of war, right? Or some kind of chaos or something's in the mix, right? We just don't need it, right? And every one of these ass clowns, and I will call them ass clowns because they're full of it. They're full of garbage. They have no stamina. They have no degree of integrity, right? They put us all in debt. Now, if anybody who will die for the Liberal Party is listening to this podcast right now, give me a good solution. Give me a viable solution that the Liberal Party has offered us when it comes to the environment, when it comes to our economics, when it comes to social programs that are viable, that are going to benefit all Canadians, not just a little group here and there. See what I mean? Now, of course, I'm ad-libbing here, ladies and gentlemen, but you get my point. You get my point. And the buffoonery must end, and the twat-wolfery must end too.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And you're back to the Crusty Canuck podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Episode 296. Cold, cruel, but victorious. That's right. Now, Christopher Freeland used to say that if you didn't vote for Leslie Church or vote for the Liberal brand in that riding, now she said this last week, you're going to have to deal with cold, cruel, and small individuals. Meaning she more or less told people what to vote for and how to vote for, or who to vote for in the name of, protecting democracy. How have the Liberals protected our democracy? What do they say about the Iranian shooting down that jet that killed 55 Canadian citizens? Right? They've just recently said that the Iranian National Guard, I forget the abbreviation, but regardless, it's terrorism to me. They just recently redeemed them as a terrorist group. So they're trying to gain traction and save face in the midst of their own bullshit. They're starting to realize that they can't keep buttering up these bullshit sandwiches to make us eat them all the time, right? And they can't keep hiding money and telling people what to do with their money. I just read a letter from the CRA today stating that they're going to be a little more lenient with what I owe them. Oh, joy, great. I don't owe them a fucking thing as far as I'm concerned. There's a couple of times there I'm guilty of not filing, but just the way they worded it, it's just verbal fucking diarrhea. I'd like to remind members of the CRA, there's about 230 or 240 is still under scrutiny for double dipping, meaning taking your salary and taking the CERB during the pandam. So put that in your pipe and smoke it there, clerical workers, you sons of bitches. Kiss my royal ass. And then make a long story short, there's a lot of administrative and bureaucratic BS that's going on behind the scenes while this fuckery is going on, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm happy that there's a victory for a conservative candidate. I'm happy that that individual can go to Parliament and stand up, especially in that riding in Toronto, because times are tough in every major city in this country, not to mention North America too, right? Cost of living has gone up everywhere in every major city, from Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa, Quebec City, Vancouver, Edmonton, Calgary, Chicago, New York City, Detroit, right? Seattle, Los Angeles, Dallas, you name it, ladies and gentlemen. Every major city in this continent is going through its sting because you have an incompetent president like Biden who wants his rocky road. Oh, my God. And then you've got an incompetent prime minister like Justin Trudeau, right? Still waving the gay pride flag, talking about unity and getting along and protecting democracy. And yet, what have these individuals done for democracy that we can think of? Have they upgraded our security? Have they analyzed our immigration policies? No. Let's just bring people in. All these so-called educated officials telling us who we are here and what we should do there, and all the rotten things they have said in the name of protecting this country. And yet they don't give two shits about this country. I've said numerous times, if you put a country into debt, you really care about what you're doing? You do that to a small business. You do that to any kind of business. What happens to you? You get canned, right? If you work for a company and you cost them a lot of money in repairs or paying off debts, there's an effing fucking problem. And you should do something about it, right? So I wonder if this election is going to actually change the tune of some of these liberals. I wonder if the backbenchers are going to have the balls to get up and say, oh, we don't want you anymore, Justin. You don't represent our interests properly. Oh, we want to clench our pearls and take more tax dollars and pretend we're going to save the trees by spending $20 billion a year in carbon taxes to pay off the national debt. That's what it is, ladies and gentlemen. It's all smoke and mirrors. Time we smash through the looking glass and stand up now, fuckers.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And you're back, ladies and gentlemen, episode 296, the Crusty Canuck podcast. Cold, cruel, but victorious. Yes, I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. If you like here to see, click like, subscribe, share this content all over your social media platforms. And if you feel like donating, ladies and gentlemen, links will be in my description. You can donate at your leisure too. I'm still boycotting Stripe because they're full of shit. They lied to my face or they lied to my computer screen. Anyhow, don't worry about them. I'll get rid of them shortly. Once again, my apologies for not showing up again last night, but work schedule keeps screw me around, but hey, keeps the lights on, keeps his computer going, keeps our bellies fed, and keeps everything copacetic. So do what you can. If you want to donate, please. I would like to hopefully sometime soon, if I could get 60 of my subscribers to me donate on a regular basis, maybe $3 to $5 a month, that would really, really give me a hand to get ahead on things, ladies and gentlemen. But you don't have to. Like I said, I get this podcast free. I don't mind sharing my information. I don't mind sharing my words. But if you do feel like donating, I would really appreciate 60 of you or more. I'm not going to demand, but, ideally 60 of you toss in maybe $3 to $5 a month. That would be fantastic. That would really, really help me get ahead. But that's up to you, my wonderful audience. You make that decision. Like, I'm not going to demand it, but every little bit helps too. My logic is that if somebody's confident enough to go online and show them their privates for $5.99 a month, you can give a guy like me $3 a month for just telling you words, just telling you stories, and just speaking my mind. But I'm not going to get up and shake my thing for you. It's not my thing. Sorry. Anyway, carrying on with this episode. Again, cold, cruel, but victorious. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. It's beautiful 26th of June, 2024. Summertime is upon us. So hydrate, all that good stuff. And I'm just going to cue up here Chrysler Freeland doing a little press conference in regards to the results of that by-election. And like I always say, ladies and gentlemen, you guys decide. Think for yourselves. We need more and more media getting out there. What I've noticed, though, too, is that the mainstream media hasn't really talked to the new conservative candidate just yet. Why are we not seeing those stories? Why aren't we seeing people talking to him? He won by 600 votes, they figure. It was a 598 or 600 or 20 or something, but it was over 600 votes that he won when they did the final tally, final count. And I'm just like, that's kind of cool. That's pretty close. It just tells you there's some people in a certain neighborhoods who get tired of people's BS and they want change. And that's very inspirational. Yeah, for inspiration, here's the video. Comes from Global TV. Ladies and gentlemen, you decide. I'm not going to tell you to suck eggs. It's not my forte per se, but I want you guys to decide and listen to what she has to say. And if you can't hear it, there should be some closed captions that are prepared there for you. Read along and you'll see exactly where she stands. She looks so hurt. Oh my goodness. Just looks so hurt, so forlorn. It's like someone kicked her puppy. She doesn't know what to do. Oh my God, Captain, what do I do? What do I do? Oh my goodness. Anyway, like I say, you guys decide and just take it with a grain of salt.
Our government is focused on working hard for Canada and Canadians and on delivering results for Canada and Canadians. That is what the Prime Minister is focused on. That is what.
Okay, working hard for Canadians. Sure you are. Working hard to take our dollar, working hard to, stifle our gas usage and stifle our food. Oh yeah, working so hard to treat us like dogs.
We are all focused on. The Prime Minister is committed to leading us into the next election, and he has our support. Let me say the Prime Minister is focused on delivering for Canada and Canadians. Our whole government is focused on delivering for Canada and Canadians. That's what we're going to continue to do. The result in St. Paul's is certainly disappointing.
The result in St. Paul's is certainly disappointing. Yeah, well, it is disappointing. You lost an election. Of course it's disappointing. But you're sitting there treated like you're going for the Stanley Cup. You're not the Edmonton Oilers. God, crack don't smoke itself, eh?
We knew it was going to be a hard fight. I think it's especially disappointing because so many of us know Leslie. We know how hard she and her team worked. And I do also want to congratulate Don Stewart. He and his team worked hard as well. We know that these are.
Yes, there's hard times for Canadians because your boss, your friends at the WEF, Mr. Klaus Schwab, Mr. Suros, you've caused a lot of these hard times, So, we're not buying your shit.
Hard times for Canadians. We know that we have to work hard to earn back their trust. And we know that the way to do that is by delivering for them, by delivering fairness for every generation.
They keep saying fairness for every generation. Really? Like this generation now, and so on, or for years to come. So when I'm dead and buried, when you're dead and buried, they're going to instill more of that fairness? Can you elaborate, please, you silly socialist twat?
By delivering investments in housing and infrastructure, including in rural broadband, the investment we're announcing today. By delivering investments in making life more affordable for Canadians with things like dental care, which is being rolled out this month to kids under 18. By delivering on a national program of early learning and childcare. Already, families in Ontario are saving more than $8,000 per child, but we need to get to $10 a day and be sure there are enough spaces for all the families that want to.
Well, there's a campaign pitch all of a sudden. Oh, yes. National Child Care, National Education Program. Can you smell propaganda?
We need to keep on delivering investments in our economy and in economic growth. I was at a car parts plant yesterday, and I could see the brilliant work the people working there are doing, the workers, the innovators. They need our support so that Canada can be on the cutting edge of the 21st century global economy. And we know that we need to deliver all of those investments in a fiscally responsible way so that inflation can continue to stabilize. It's now been within the Bank of Canada's target range for 5 months in a row. That's good news. We have more work to do so that the Bank of Canada...
Things are still expensive, Christia. Doesn't matter for 5 months in a row. Things are still expensive. And you talk about investing in Canada? You're talking about investing? Okay, well, usually when you invest in something, you get something back. There's a return on that. What's the return? More debt, more headaches, and con jobs. Not even a promise of a kiss, you silly cow.
Canada can continue its work bringing rates down. This is a disappointing result. We take it seriously. We know that things are hard for people in Canada, and we know we have to work even harder, delivering for Canadians, winning back the trust of Canadians. That's what we're all committed to do.
You're not going to win the hearts and minds of Canadians anymore. You lost that fight, I would say, as in 2016. A lot of us knew you're full of shit when it came into 2015, the whole Sunny Ways, and people wanted regime change because Harper was such a terrible man. Now, do we have a lot of freedom prior to Justin Trudeau? Well, somewhat, but we still had some ridiculous taxes and a lot of bureaucrats and admins alike too. But we weren't in debt like we are now. And the cost of living was not that bad. So do the math. Anyway, here's an article from CBC in regards to Don Stewart's win. My apologies for not knowing his name earlier, ladies and gentlemen, but I'll just read this here. Read along here for you for a bit, and I'll leave this in my description for you, where you can decide, as always, which I highly encourage, ladies and gentlemen. You think amongst yourselves. We need more and more people to think amongst themselves and to ask these clowns the tough questions, as we should. And if we have to put up with more condescending tones from the likes of Chrystia Freeland, then we're going to have to start throwing shoes. Anyway, Conservatives win longtime Liberal stronghold, Toronto St. Paul, in shock by-election result. Stunning result raises questions about Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's future. I wonder, he should have retired years ago. Conservative candidate Don Stewart has won the longtime federal Liberal stronghold of Toronto St. Paul's, a stunning result that raises questions about Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's future. Stewart's victory is shocking because the seat has been held by Liberals for more than 30 years, even though the party's passed low points, such as the 2011 federal election that returned just 34 Liberal MPs to Parliament. Before Monday's vote, a Conservative candidate hadn't been competitive in Toronto St. Paul's since the 80s, I believe 88. The party hadn't won a seat in urban Toronto since 2011 federal election. Monday's result was a nail-biter to the very end, right? For more than 7 hours of counting, Liberal candidate Leslie Church was in the lead, but with 189 of 192 polls reporting, the lead flipped to Stewart. The final batch of votes, posted around 4:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, delivered the seat to Stewart and a major breakthrough to Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre. In the end, Stewart, a consultant, claimed victory with about 42% of the vote against Church, a former Parliament Hill staffer and lawyer who took roughly 40% of the ballots cast. Interesting. The Liberals' poor showing in a stronghold like this could prompt some soul searching for Trudeau, who has seen his popularity plummet as inflation, the cost of living crisis, high home prices, and surging immigration levels drive to voter discontent. Not to mention their CBC, you goddamn pigs at the trough, right? A scandal upon scandal, lackluster promotion of our military, wokeisms, all that other crap. You know how it goes. This Conservative upset is likely to lead to some anxiety in the Liberal caucus because such dramatic vote swing could put other supposedly, quote unquote, safe spaces. Oh my God, where's my cookies? Safe seats in play for the Conservatives in the next general election. So what I will do, ladies and gentlemen, I will leave this link in the description, and you can see the outrage, the sheer outrage and this concern of what's going on in our politics, right? So that being said, if another by-election is coming between now and, let's say, October of next year, who knows? But Toronto has always been a liberal city, as far as I can remember. Like, you know, even like the 80s, the Conservatives won, Mulroney won because Papa Trudeau put this country into debt too. Interesting, eh? Oh, shit sandwich in back in the 80s. Yeah, go figure. And what's his son doing right now? More debt. Behind closed doors, I am almost positive they're going to be, they want to print more money to pay for these lavish homes they want to build by 2030. Or 3.9 million homes they say they want to build. How long is that going to take? So I think you can see my point, ladies and gentlemen. The buffoonery and the twat-walfery is still in the works, right? You just saw the little press conference there from Christopher Phelan. We're working hard to win your trust back. So you obviously know that you've done some stupid things that a lot of Canadians don't trust you anymore because you're full of it. You obviously know that you did some stupid things, right? And yet, how are you going to win trust back? How are you going to win anything back? Honestly, how are you guys going to plan to win anything back from guys in their 40s and 50s or gals in their 40s and 50s? How can any brand new voter now that turns 18 this year, how can he or she trust what you guys have to say? Okay? Because tuition costs are effing ridiculous. Right? Cost of living is ridiculous. So what kind of world and fairness are you promoting to those kids? What kind of fairness and generational fairness are you promoting to people in their 20s, early 30s? You're not promoting any kind of fairness to me. I just mentioned earlier how the CRA, how they want to keep dinging me for more money. Right? Oh, I guess I'm not working hard enough. See, my average work week is this. I work 10 days and then I get 4 days off. And during those 10 days, depending on the season too, I can do anywhere from 45 to, God, excuse me, 10 hours a day, sometimes 11 hours a day. So that ends up being like 100 hours I get paid for. That's great, right? But then I get a good chunk of tax comes off of that too. I even volunteer extra money so the CRA isn't breathing down my neck. Yet they're still breathing down my neck. So what's that tell you about blue-collar lifestyle in this country? Doesn't matter if you live in Alberta. Doesn't matter if you live in Nova Scotia or Newfoundland. You're still getting dinged, right? Because the priorities, because of the debt these clowns put together. And now she has the audacity to sit there. We want to win your trust back. How? You want to win my trust? Well, I never trust to begin with. The honorable thing would be for you to step down, Prime Minister step down. Oh, but who's going to run the country? I guess there might be some diehard liberals still in the cabinet in the backbench, creeping in the corners, that actually might have some cojones or integrity or intestinal fortitude to do that. People have asked me, Crusty, where do you stand on liberty? Well, I stand liberty for everybody, like liberals should, but they don't. They don't stand for liberty for you. They don't stand for liberty for the neighbors. They stand for taking liberties, taking you for granted. They take the liberty of taking you for granted, taking your wallet, telling you what to think, what to smoke, what to put in your body, who to sleep with. They get their hands in everything. Their logic is, to stop big government, we have to add more government. To stop this crisis, we have to have more power. That sounds very, very Marxist, don't you think? Hey, don't you? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's practically Marxist. Because we all heard the prime minister talk about how much he loves China's basic dictatorship. He said that back in 2013, I believe, when he was on his campaign trail, when he was trying to gain, notoriety for being the new liberal minister, which is just clearly fucking nepotism, nothing but an inherited position based on namesake, not based on actual skill. You got to hand to his old man. At the time, Mr. Pierre-Elliott Trudeau was a statesman. He was a dick. He was a philanderer. Treated the women in his life like absolute garbage. And it doesn't matter what kind of problems that Margaret had prior to meeting Pierre-Elliott Trudeau. She had her own issues. So what's that tell you? I guess the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, ladies and gentlemen? And Chrystia Freeland, well, I don't give a really shit about her background. She's full of shit. All the other cabinet ministers that have weighed in, talked about security in this country, they don't know what the hell they're doing. All these so-called experts, economic experts, say that inflation is good, say that taxation is good. Who in their right mind with an economics degree says taxation is great, unless it benefits the economist? The person working for the guy who instigates and signs the papers to say, yes, tax us some more. They're all full of shit, ladies and gentlemen. Right? Anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Crusty Canuck on this beautiful 26th of June, 2024. It's summertime. Weather's better out there. I know it was a bit of a scorcher today. I was doing a lot of cleaning today, cleaning some vehicles, doing maintenance. So, it was a good work day. I'm happy. It's nice to come home to a loving wife and to see her smile after a good day's work. And I like that, especially the fact that I've got a couple extra bucks this week. So I'm going to get that lumber, like I said in one of the last episodes, and fix things. But needless to say, things are still tough for everybody out there. So the best thing we can do is keep our chins up, do the best we can, and just try to be decent to each other to the best of our abilities, ladies and gentlemen, regardless of where you sit in the political fence. Just try to be decent and not fall for the bullshit. And do not let anybody darken your light. Go with the flow, do what you can, help each other in these trying times. Keep your chin up, hydrate, because like I said, the weather's getting better. It's hot outside. And I will see you Friday. It might be a bit later, but I will get an episode up this Friday, and I might reformat the whole schedule and probably do a Monday, Wednesday, Friday thing. I'm not sure. Anyway, hang tight, and I will do a Friday episode, ladies and gentlemen. And like I always say, humanity and merit wins the day. Take care, and I'll see you Friday. Bye for now.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. Yes, sir. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
This has been another episode of the Crusty Canuck podcast. Stay sane and thank you for listening. From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast.
Well, smack my ass and call me Judy.